I ventured to Kingston's Hippodrome to sit down and chat with Sam Douglas of Mallory Knox. There are numerous themes present in Mallory Knox's recently released third album, but mental health is undeniably a prominent one, and a topic that resonates with many of us. Due to the content of my channel, I thought it would be interesting to hear about Sam's unique experience with his own mental health issues, and to find out how he manages them while juggling being in a popular touring band and just being a normal 20-something homebody. Here's what I found out. Today I'm with Sam from Mallory Knox, and you may have seen other interviews we've done. We were just talking about
Yeah, I was
them.
gonna say.
They're quite light-hearted, you might say.
Yeah, I've kept my alcohol like below the table this time.
Yeah, thank you. Professional.
Yeah.
But today it's going to have a bit of a different vibe. I want to go a bit deeper with
Yeah.
you today, if
Okay.
that's all right.
That's fine.
Because you kind of set yourself up for this because you've been very open
Yeah.
with the lyrics on the latest album, and you obviously did that piece with The Independent.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that a bit more because obviously my channel is a lot about my own struggles with depression and anxiety, and I think if people know that people in bands, people that have careers and stuff are still battling these things, it's kind of inspiring to them to know that you
Yeah.
kind of can combat them a little bit and still cope to an extent.
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent.
So how do you generally feel around this time when an album's about to come out in terms of nerves and anxiety and stress levels?
I mean, it's one of them things with an album when you spend a year, sometimes more, on something that's practically been your life for the last 12 to 18 months, and you have to cram it into 45 minutes and go, there you go, that's what I've been up to the last year and a half, and then within them 45 minutes people either love it or they just completely dismiss it. I mean, I don't think there's any other areas of work really that can be like that.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day job, you can spend a month on something, but you've always got something to back up a few months later. So with me, especially because we've been doing it for a long time, and what we've been doing really compared to what is the norm, you always kind of think well, what's around the corner for us, and every album counts. So it didn't really hit me until the other night at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, before midnight on the Friday it come out, and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, oh my god, I'm shitting myself. I don't know what people are going to think. And the fact, as you say, this album as well, lyrically is there's a lot more out there this time, and that can go again either way. I guess you're kind of really putting yourself out there this time. Not that we didn't before, but with this one especially, you really are kind of laying it all out there. And I mean, from experiences I've had so far, because obviously Better Off Without You came out before the album, and I've already seen comments going, oh, they're only writing a song about anxiety to sell the song. Yeah, it happens. Do you know what I mean? It's so silly, but But
for every one of those, there'd be hundreds.
Exactly.
That thank you for doing that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and I say the same thing as I've said to a few people that have heard it. They say that they can connect with that song on a whole other level than they can to other songs, and I'm like, that's amazing. I'm really glad that you found something out of that song, but I would be 100% lying to that person if I said I wrote it for people to feel better for themselves, because that's just a lie. The thing for music is, for me, is that you pick out parts that mean something to you, and that specific moment, the way that I've listened to music as a kid growing up was that it meant something to me, and I had a connection with it. So if I had to write songs to try and make other people connect to it like that, I'd be lying to myself, and I wouldn't be able to do it. So when it comes to writing, I just write what means something to me and what helps me, and if that helps other people, then amazing. Then
that's just a positive outcome that happens.
Exactly. I wouldn't know any other way to go about it. But I guess that's the thing with stuff like that, is that a lot of people go through it, a lot of people suffer with it, and because that no one really talks about it, and there's this stigma about it, that when a song comes out, you're like, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't write songs for other people, but the amount of people that have come back and said, I can relate to that song, is overwhelming.
I bet that means a lot to you, does it?
I mean, yeah, it does.
Make it worthwhile, the stress of putting yourself
Yeah,
out there.
with that song especially as well, it was the first 5 minutes, I kind of wrote the lyrics subliminally, and then I looked at, I wrote it on my phone, the one new school thing that I do instead of writing on a piece of paper. I looked back and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but the way the lyrics flowed, and when it comes to writing a song, obviously the lyrics have to mean something, but it is also about the flow of how the words sound, and it just, everything fit. And I had a half-hour discussion with myself in my own head whether I wanted to go down that road, but at the end of the day, I got to the point where I got with every other song that I've written, is that there's a reason I've written that. so obviously I need to get it out, and
go
I just
with that
kind
flow.
And that's all I did, and showed the first verse and the chorus to Mikey, and he wrote the lyrics to the second verse, and hey presto, they make they're about the same thing, which opened up a whole new world for me and Mikey to talk about as well. So it's interesting.
Were there wobbles before you maybe chose that as a single, or before you chose the tracks for the album, where you're like, actually guys, I'm not sure I can put that out there, can we think about this? Or once you'd made the decision, did you go, okay, we'll just go?
Yeah, once it was done, once we said to the guys, this is what it's about. I think we had discussions about the lyrics in terms of like actually using the words citalopram and whether or not, because James and stuff like didn't really, what does that mean?
That's the one I was on actually.
Yeah, but that was the only one I was on, and so that was the reason it was so good for me to get that specific one in.
Yeah.
Because that's what I knew. So again, I was just putting it out there, what happened to me. So, and it's not like the best sounding word, is it, to try and put in a song, but it worked. It just worked. So I don't think once we decided as a band it was the right thing to do, then no, we didn't really ever look back at it. There's been times, I'd be lying, I'd say if there's times where since we've released the song that I maybe not want to talk about it. Like, this is a good one, I want to talk about it. But there's some days where it's like, we did an interview, I can't remember who with the other day, and they said, do you ever feel like you've exposed yourself too much and you have to talk about it every day now? And I went, yeah, absolutely. Like, some days I just don't want to have to talk about it. But I guess that's just a bad day.
It's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to have good and bad days.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you, what do you do when you've got to be public, Sam, when you've got to do meet and greets, when you've got to do interviews, and you're having one of those days where you actually don't even want to leave your bedroom?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Or what do you do?
See, this is the thing. It can go either way with me. Like I think like I'm bad with like hiding my emotions at the best of the time. So people know if something's up. I can be like really moody. I can just be generally down, and I can't hide that. Like this, with the stresses that comes with releasing an album. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing thing to get to do. But there is, as I say, go back to the first question. There's so much like pressure that comes on top of that with releasing an album, and some days it can just like get the better of you a little bit. But the thing that I like to think of is that from where I was 2 years ago to where I am now, I'm a lot better at digesting things. Like, one thing I was really bad at which was half the reason I went to go kind of sort myself out, was because I just couldn't digest information properly. It was it was like the worst thing, and I was panicking and I was overthinking it and I couldn't get it out of the front of my mind. But now I like to think that I can take those 5 minutes and try and put it to the back of my mind and concentrate on what I need to do. And like, I'd be lying if I say every single time I can do that, but I think I've got better at doing that.
So you know what the coping mechanisms are, but you can't always activate them as effectively as you want to. I can't.
Like, I'm an emotional person anyway. I always have been. I always wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I've got an addictive personality. Like, you know, it's just, I did like throwing it all out there. Like, I drink a bit too much at times, and that was a coping mechanism that isn't the best thing to do, but sometimes it is for me. And it's just one of them things. Like, it just depends. Like, I still don't really know myself, and I guess that's half the issue. On what
we're always learning about ourselves with this, and what makes it worse. What are the triggers?
Exactly.
What are the other triggers that you found for you that make it heightened? Or
I mean, I don't. This is the thing. When I was always like, I wasn't easygoing, but like I didn't really care like about stuff, and I think that's just come with age, because, as I say, like, I'm not moaning about being in a band. I love being in a band. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. But when you're in a situation where you go to America for 6 months and then you're away and you see your dog's about to pass away, or some of your friends are getting married, or you're missing your girlfriend while all of your friends at home are like getting married, having kids, and it's like, and not only does it make you go like, oh, I wish I was doing that, but it makes you miss out on their moments as well. And like, half the thing, like, I remember there was a moment when I don't know where I was somewhere in America, and all of my family like met up for a barbecue, and it's like, it's just little things like that make it like just sometimes like hard to get through. And that's when I realized that it was hard for me, because I realized that we'd been doing it since we were 19 years old, and we really hadn't had time off. Like, don't get me wrong, we went home, but like we were having time off when we were 23. And I know a lot of people start families at the age of 23 and stuff, but like with like 27, it's like, now it's real. Like, my little sister's had a child. You know, luckily I was home for that, but you know, I could have been stuck. It's just like, you get to the point where you go like, what's going to happen today?
Yeah.
That was kind of my trigger, I think, where I started to go like,
But I think also home is like that comfort place,
Yeah.
that safety zone. And I think when you're away from it and distant from it, then you don't have that feeling of safety, and you've got the guilt that you're missing out on things on top of that. So.
Exactly. I mean, for me as well, like I really am a home bird. It sounds mad, like, because I've got to tour the world, and like I'm not ungrateful for that whatsoever. I've thoroughly enjoyed like experiences, like new cities and different cultures and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for the band, like I would have been just as happy staying in Cambridge. And being a part of like having a family life that way, and I think that's the balance. Like you get to a point where you kind of want to figure that out, and you have to do it with the right person at the right time. And I'd like to think that everything's kind of fell into place, for now. So
you have got another area of safety in your life that you can retreat to.
Absolutely, It's always been home. It's always been home, and I guess that's the hard part on tour, is that you can't go home when you're stuck in like Nebraska or Sydney or whatever. Like.
What can you do?
Just go to a bar. That's the issue. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Just have a few drinks and just try and forget about it until the show, and then do the same thing again.
See, what I do is I snack on really bad food, and that's what I do. I guess that's what I turn to. You turn to drink, I turn to snacks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've been like, I think like I'm lucky enough to have like people around me that can tell me like, oh, you've had too many today. Like, think about it. I'm like, okay, and then I get sulky. And I'm like,
you to tell me that.
I'm just like, oh. But it's a good thing. I need that. And I didn't have that. Didn't have that before.
So do you have that now because of that conversation that opened up with you and Mikey when you wrote the lyrics together and you opened up? When did that happen, that they started to look out for you in that way?
I think with Mallory, we've always looked out for each other. I think we've always... when you're on tour with the same 5 guys that for the last 7 years or however long we've been doing it, you know when something's wrong. You know when it's time to like leave it, or when it's time to go and have a chat. And I think they were good. They talked to me all the time, but I don't think that they, like I didn't, because I didn't understand the extent to like how much it was upsetting me really until I got home, and I felt this absolute like just relief, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that again. I don't know if I can go away for that long again. But I guess that was just like I needed like the time to come home, write a new album. Now I'm ready to go again. Like I'm so ready to go again, like more so than I ever have been. But I think with them, we've always been good at talking.
That's good.
We've always been good at talking. Like I wouldn't change that for the world with those 4. But as I say, like there's times where there's nothing you can say to someone. You just have to kind of let them go through that really bad half hour, and then when they've kind of sorted themselves out, talk to them then. And
do you? Because I've started actually saying to people, look, I'm having a really bad day of it today. I'm probably going to be a bit weird, a bit quiet, a bit reclusive. Do you say that, or do you let them kind of guess from the way you are, or a weird tweet that you post that kind of hints to it?
Well, that's the thing. I try and leave it. I try my best to leave it off social media as much as I can. Like I don't. That's just the thing with me. Like social media, as I said, when I was in America, was half the problem for me because I was reading all this stuff back home. And I think I'd like to say that I end up doing something, and I end up saying something silly and insulting someone, and then I have to go like, I'm having a bad day. I'm sorry. But then there are days, I guess, like where I go like, oh, I'm stressing about this today. But I guess it's the same with all 4 of us. Like we all care like so much, but we've just, it's different life experiences, isn't it? As I say, like you can be in the same room every day, and you can play the same show every day, but that doesn't mean you're going through the exact same day as the other person's going through.
Absolutely not.
You know, because
sometimes you just wake up in a bad frame of
mind.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like that's what I thought I was doing the first few times. I was like, I'm just really grumpy. For like I thought I'm really just not happy. And then I looked at it and I got home and I was like, I'm still not really that happy. And it was then because I think everyone around me was real supportive, but like they knew something was up. Like and they said, you got to go, just have a chat, just go do it. It took me a while to get to that point to talk to them as well. Just because I wasn't really good at doing it. But it's mad, isn't it? Because I was writing songs all the time. How weird's that?
But you were getting it out in some way, so maybe that you were getting it out enough to keep you going.
Well, you write a song on your own in your room. No one's watching you do it.
Safety zone again.
Well, kind of, And then when you put it out there, it's like, oh, play the song that you wrote yesterday. It's like, oh, I don't really want to.
What about with like a producer when they're like, can you explain what this is about? Can you tell the story? Are you sort of like, you need to be comfortable with that guy?
Well, I think that's how good Dan was on our new album, was that I didn't think twice about telling him.
That's good.
Didn't think twice, and I think that's when you're a really, really good producer, as Dan is. I can't speak highly enough of the guy. And we've worked with some great producers before, like all of them really. But Dan, for me, he was engineer on our last record, so we already had like a personal relationship, like we were friends before. and he's like, I guess he's kind of in the same boat. Like he's away a lot of the time. He's got kids. He's got like, you know, a wife and stuff, and he's away just as much as we were when we were recording the albums. He could relate to the lyrics as well. Like there was a few times when, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, like got a bit teary-eyed at some of the songs because he missed his family, and like he knew half the time what it was about. But we did have a few chats of what the songs were about, and it was really good as well. It was just really, especially I guess like on that artistic level as well, that he could pick up parts as well, because like it's just cool to hear how he took the song as well. And like, because For You, there's a song called For You on the album, which is literally just like almost like an open love letter to my girlfriend, without being soppy about it. It was like, and that was when I first like got to the point where I was like, I'm not happy. I was just like saying, I know I'm not happy, and I know I'm grumpy, and I know it makes it hard for you. Yeah. So that was half the lyrics of the chorus for that song. But he took that song as like, oh, he really missed his kids and stuff like that, and so he like spoke about that song for like 10-15 minutes and stuff. So I guess it all comes down to like who you feel comfortable working with. But that goes back to the band that we fortunately, like we really do take our time to pick who we work with, and you know,
it pays off.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. How can you be uncomfortable? How can you be uncomfortable recording? As I say, you spent the last 18 months of your life recording something. You want to make sure you give it justice, and they've got to bring the best out like in you. And Dan definitely did that. There was times where I thought, I've got nothing left in the tank to sing a certain line, and you got one more, and the amount of times that one more was the take that we used. You know what I mean? Oh, it's funny.
Yeah. But if you're sparing your soul that much, you do want to make sure you're making something that is good.
Definitely.
Because it's draining.
Definitely.
Like, revealing that much.
Yeah, like, because I suffered real, like this, beyond all that, I had real bad hay fever when we were recording the album. And I couldn't sing a word some days, like couldn't breathe through my nose, and I couldn't get enough air in my lungs through my mouth. So I was really struggling. And on the version of Falling in Love that we did, I really struggled to hit this certain note to the point that eventually I got it, and I was that wound up by it that I ended up rewriting the lyrics to the next part. Oh. And just from that moment there, just because of my frustration, how comfortable he made me feel, I was like, I'm going to change the lyrics right now, and just did it there and then in the vocal booth. And
it's amazing
constantly
how much
changing
impact what happens.
Honestly, that one speaker, how annoyed I was at myself for not being able to do it how I wanted to, made me change on the lines, and I changed the line and I sung it perfect, and I was like, there you go.
And much better. Do you like that line as well when you hear it now?
Absolutely. It's just, there's a way that it comes out as well. I think you can tell that it was one take. You can hear like the rasp in the voice and stuff, and you can actually hear like I was like hitting the wall and stuff because I couldn't sing it and stuff. Like, you really do get it out there. Like, I'd never had that before. Normally when I was singing, it was like I just go in there, make sure I do a good job,
go through the motions.
Yeah, but with this one, I was really singing it. Like I was actually singing the words this time instead of just trying to make sure it was like in tune.
Now, when you sing these songs live, these personal songs, do you get choked up every time, or is it becoming less so the more you do it?
We haven't done it yet with this. With some of the songs on the old.
For you, for
instance. I mean, we haven't played that one yet, but there's songs like when we've been doing these acoustic stuff for the in-stores, and there's been a few times that people have sung back to Better Off Without You, and I don't do my harmony because I'm singing along with them. But when we play it full band, I like to think that I'd like to think it's going to come out in the performance. There's been songs on the last few records where, there's certain moments in the set that kind of take your breath away, and you have to we remember when we played Cambridge, like all 5 of us were in tears, but that was only because I think our families were there and stuff like that. But there are certain moments in the set that you always look forward to, and because you know that people are going to sing it back louder than you. Yeah.
Now, before I let you go, I want to talk about the process of going to the doctors, because I've had some dreadful experiences. Yeah. Either they've been dismissive, or straight away go on tablets, or even they think that you're, being a drama queen, all sorts of things. Yeah. What was your experience like?
I was just frustrating from the start, because I don't know enough about the doctors to know if it's the same for everything else, but when you ring, you can't just book an appointment for the next day. It has to be in the morning. And then if you miss your slot by half hour, probably everything's booked up for that day. So it took me about 2 weeks to get in because I wasn't waking up in time. And then when I did get in, I had to explain what was going on with me over the phone. And that was fine. They said, right, we will book you in with so-and-so. And I went to see him, and it was very, very pleasant, but I was in there 2 minutes. I was just in there 2 minutes, and I feel like he prescribed me citalopram, so I can tell you're fidgety, you're moving your hands like this, you're constantly hitting. And he, within 2 minutes, he basically just diagnosed me without even saying like, well, why, like what triggers it, like what do you do? Didn't even ask me what I do. Did you know what I mean? If you ask me what I do, you might have a bit more of a different perception of what it is, like, because it's not like I work a 9 to 5 in the same place every day with the same people, like, because I mean that my anxiety must be different to that person.
Yeah.
You know, I might have the same situations and same like things that they go through, but like you can't put everyone in a box and just say because you're tapping your hands you've got this.
There's so many intricacies to each person's condition.
And I know that it's busy and I know that they've got a lot to do, but it was all just very impersonal and it was in and out before you could really click your fingers, and that was it. And then I remember getting back in the car and I was just like, well, I really wish I hadn't bothered, because I feel 10 times worse because now I've got to go home and probably just tell people that I've been prescribed this and I'm actually not that alright. Because for me, that's what it felt like. I was like, well, obviously I'm not all right then, because...
Was that quite a shock to you? Was it like
I don't know if it was a shock. It was just more of the fact that, like, well, I just kind of feel like I'm left here to deal with this now.
Yeah, and that is the thing. It's like, deal with it.
And it's like, come back when you've taken the 28 that you've got in there and we'll reassess the situation.
And they didn't.
But I was like, I'm off to America in 2 weeks. So mine are going to run out.
Yeah, oh God, and that stresses you out.
Yeah, so it's just awful. But, you know, it's hard, like, not to sound like you because I know a lot of people go through it, but like that's what I'm saying. They should just take that extra 5 minutes, and I think a lot of that would like help. Just help. It would help a little bit more.
Yeah. And they didn't suggest counselling or therapy or
no,
help you, guide you in that area.
No, because as I said, like when I meet like new people, I can't help but kind of come across like I want to be really polite. Like I couldn't go in there and be like hi, or just I don't know. I don't know if that's like I don't know. Like
I don't think it's anything to do with you. That's an obvious thing they should have.
Yeah,
done, really,
but that's the thing. Like, but I don't think they really took the time to, as I say, they kind of just put you into that bracket. And I don't know if that, as I said, they're very busy people. I don't really blame them for it, but that's just the only. That's what the song was about. That's why the song's not a slow, sad song. It's more like an angry, in your face, frustration, let it out kind of way. And that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a song to feel sorry for the situation that I was in. It was just, get it out there. I wanna sort this out, and I don't know what to do because I'm not educated enough in the subject to be able to do it. And it's pissing off everyone around me, even though they're being sympathetic. I can tell that it's pissing them off because that it's hurting them too. So they don't know what to do. Yeah,
no one does unless more people talk about it and say what helps and what doesn't help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's why we're doing this.
There we go. Probably.
Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, hope so.
But I think overall the album, although it tackles these difficult things, I think there's hope at the end of it.
Yes, definitely.
Because you're talking about these conversations in the songs and encouraging people to communicate about
definitely.
it.
Like you've got to talk. Like, you just have to. Like, I mean, what's the point if you build this circle of people that you trust so much and you don't let them in when you need them the most? Like, I think, and I know it's hard. But like, if you do, you'd be surprised sometimes that how people, you know, will respond to you and help you through it. I mean, because if you don't tell them, they're just gonna carry on as normal because they don't know any better.
And I think the most surprising thing is how many people say, "Me too."
Yeah.
Like, I'm astounded how many people.
We live in a day and age now where life is just so quick. It's quick. It's quick. Post that on the internet. It's got to get to work like rush hour traffic. It's just crazy.
Pressure.
Yeah, and sometimes life is just too quick for some people, and there's no shame in that.
No.
It's too quick for me. Before I knew it, I was 27. I started this band when I was 19. I was like, what the fuck? Where's my last 8 years of my life gone? It is, but like, I know I'm lucky. I got to do what I want to do for 8 years, and hopefully for many fucking more. But sometimes it's just like, everyone needs that time to go like, right.
And stability. It'd be nice to have stability, which is hard in creative jobs as well.
We don't. That's a
we know.
whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you aren't contracted for the next 4 years or whatever of your life, and you're not like got the. Well, I don't have like the education to back it up. I don't have the qualifications. I'm in this because I fell into it, but I wanted to fall into it. But I don't have anything to back me up after it. But I don't think about that because that'll drive me mad.
Yeah, you just got to go with the flow and just make up the plan as you go along.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's essentially what I was doing, and I still am.
I think we're all doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like exciting, but just don't let it get the better of you sometimes because it can do.
We should end on that.
There you
Don't
go.
let it get the better of you guys. I hope this was interesting and helpful in some way. Thanks for being open.
Thank you. That's all right. Yeah. You kind of bring it out. I'll just like flick more alcohol. End it on
for
that.
old time's sake.
guys. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Bye.
I'd like to say that I'm better off without you, but I can't. No way, you won't believe me at night. I drift like a bottle in the ocean as its high. Love round will pull me through. Well, I know some wrong, just a weak-minded individual, but I can tell you right now, I know I ain't weak, I ain't getting better, but I must admit that I